Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, welcome back to another high level best of 3. In the bottom left spawning as the red Zerg player, playing for Team Kaizi Gaming. It's our boy Solar. And in the top right spawning as the blue Protoss player. It's none other than Classic. Classic, the man, the myth, the legend. We're still waiting for the big return out of Classic. We want to see that big performance that was promised as he returned from the military, and it hasn't really well, he hasn't quite shined as brightly. He hasn't been shining as brightly as he has been in the past. Of course, before he went to the military, he got that top 4 finish at BlizzCon, where he ended up losing to... I can't quite recall who he ended up losing to in the quarterfinals. It must have been Dark, actually. In 2019, I think that was. Lost to Dark in the semis 3-0. He beat Rogue 3-2. Had that epic game on World of Sleepers, in which he used the Blink DT opener. For the first real time we saw Blink DT at a high level being utilized in a one-off build. Beautiful game. Really, really beautiful game. Great strategical preparation. And that's something that I think always can be said from Classic, is that he always had a bit of a knack for these smart, these clever strategies. He really just knows a lot. A very bright fella. Recently he's been very keen on this, okay? So I've watched him play a fair amount, because I really do believe he's one of the most intelligent Protoss players around. To be fair, that's setting the bar pretty low if you're competing with your average Protoss player. You'll be competing with the likes of me and a bunch of other guys, which, well, let's just say when intelligence was being handed out, they weren't in at the first part of the line, more in the back. Classic, however, he definitely was in the first batch when it came to intelligence. He got a lot of it, and he's been playing this double adept opener into Oracle straight away, and he loves building the Stargate on the edge, and this time he opens up with a Void Ray. I actually really liked when he was opening with the Oracle. Force out quicker spores, perhaps get a little bit more done with those early units than you usually get done these days. So we see the first adept making its way across the map, second adept stays at home, and there's no third unit on the way. So this will be a double adept into a Void Ray opener. This allows for a very quick third base, but it also means there's almost no pressure on the opponent in the early game. 4 links is going to be plenty to defend, so that saves 2 drones. Usually with 2 quick chrono boosts, you will be forced to build, well, 8 links majority of the time. Of course, these 8 links also give some utility in scouting in the mid game, or when the early game transitions into the mid game, and perhaps even attacking this third base for a little bit. At times you go up to 16 links. Maybe there's some potential here. This first Overlord, or this first Void Ray is going to make its way across the map to try and pick off an Overlord. This Overlord, well, it's not in dangerous territory, I think. I'd be surprised if Classic will be capable of getting that. Instead, he will just straight away fly into his opponent's natural. See if there's any type of Overlord flying around that he can take out before the Oracle comes in. Oracle will fly towards the third base. Sees 2 queens, will take out 2. Yeah, just 2 drones. Took out a drone here as well. And I think he took out 1 Ling with this Void Ray. So that's 2 kills currently. There's not a whole lot of adepts here, which means that a small Ling counterattack could either kill this adept or maybe go for the pylon, or perhaps both. With 11 links, I'm not quite sure if that's going to be enough. Oracle stays alive and stays on the other side of the map. The follow-up here for Classic will be a very fast fleet. This is not a normal timed fleet beacon, by the way. This is insanely fast, with that quick forge as well. So we're going to be seeing something interesting. We haven't really seen a lot of carrier rushes lately. We see a lot of Void Ray openers, but this could be something else. This really could be something else. 6 queens are out currently, as there's no +1 being researched, and the adept count is growing. This is a fake glaive adept attack. Tempest! Let's go for a Tempest rush. I've seen him do this recently, and I can't recall perhaps against Ragnarok. He played this Tempest rush. Classic is the only player that still believes in Tempest rushes. That is such an odd thing to believe in, honestly. Because they almost never do anything. Especially on a map like this. It's just so hard to get any type of damage. Spire is being thrown down right now. And Solar will quickly kind of transition into that Corruptor type of force. With a high queen count, I don't think it's going to take too much damage. Spores can be put into positions where the Tempest will kind of be zoned out. It's not like there's any mineral lines close by edges here, you know? There's not a lot of dead space here where the Tempest can just sit and shoot at mineral lines. Neither over here. I mean, Spore over here can zone out. A Spore over here can zone out. I am curious to see what these Tempests are going to be doing. And if they'll get more than 2-3 kills. Last time I watched him perform this Tempest dance, I think he got 2 drone kills total. Like, this is a capital ship for the Protoss, my friends. 4 queens are pushing it back right now. This is one of the reasons why no one builds Tempest. At least, not this early. These 4 queens actually will be capable of completely zoning out these Tempest to even get into this dead space. That would be disastrous if they don't even get there. Okay, well, they will get there at least. Which means he'll have some type of supremacy here over this area, I guess. He could take out drones from this base. He can pop into the main, and now there's like 2.5 areas which Solar needs to cover. Yeah, I mean, well, actually, now just 2. Like, these queens can cover this entire area, so it's just 2. Like, the Tempest can never move forward, because then they're also vulnerable from the bottom side. I'm surprised we're not seeing any real spores being migrated right now. I wouldn't mind seeing a spore just move over here. Like, there's just... What is this position, Solar? I guess Solar doesn't even care. He lost 2 workers, and now the Corruptors are out already. He's gonna get a Tempest, actually, if Classic isn't careful. Even if Classic is careful, he's going to lose a Tempest. What a terrible, absolutely awful start here for Classic, who's invested a crap ton in these capital ships. Fort base is extremely delayed. I like this follow-up though. It's going to be charged. There will be a Templar Archives as well, which means that the follow-up Corruptor attack might be tricky to get a win with. 2 more Tempest on the way. Is he being cracked on the head? What is this? Here I am bragging about the high intelligence that Classic possesses. And he just starts building Tempest like his life depends on it. This is not how he got raised. He's unbelievable. Okay. I'm not quite sure why to 3 Tempest either. It's not like this allows you to one-shot anything. This just allows you to do a little bit more damage to these Corruptors, but I feel like more Void Rays would have been a lot more useful. Or perhaps getting a couple of Archons. These Corruptors try to trade out. Of course, with Prismatic Alignment, no real use of trying. 2 Archons are being morphed. No Disruptors in this defense, by the way. So it's going to be a Corruptor Roach Queen attack here for Solar. Not quite sure if there is sufficient forces for Classic. Classic is going to lose a Tempest before the fight starts. And he's going to lose all of these Tempests before the fight really starts. He's going to lose his entire army before the fight even starts. This is insane. This is like falling off the stairs while you're walking into the ring and breaking both of your legs. Like, more Tempests are just going to get taken out. Solar isn't even really pushing yet. Like, this is the most uncoordinated attack I've seen in my life. The Queens are going back home to inject. The Corruptors are camping the main base, making sure that Stargates can't produce anything. And the Natural of Classic is falling. This is the worst way to die. This is absolutely the worst way to die. It's like you're hiding in the bushes. And the guy you're trying to ambush starts peeing on top of you. And you drown. This is what we're looking at right now. This wasn't even intentional here out of Solar. Solar accidentally winning the game right now. Just wanted to defend the Tempest. Now we see a couple of Ravagers. The Queens are joining as well. There's no attack upgrades here. This is actually the most uncoordinated attack that I've seen in my entire life. And it's working because the defense out of Classic is just very, very poor. And the decisions he's making are simply not that good. There's no Disruptors here in the defense. The Void Rays are going to get taken out. Archons will be used correctly. Try to zone out these Corruptors. But there's too many Corruptors. Not enough air units to really hold down anything. The Corruptors just kind of idling at this point. GG gets called as Solar wins game number 1 in what will go down as one of the weirdest games in the recent history of StarCraft 2. So we'll head into game number 2 in this best of 3. After that last game, Solar surely as confused as I am. As Classic opening up with once again a no scout. Look at that. Now this is something that I do love. I'm a huge fan of people that don't scout. Because I'm a huge fan personally of not scouting as well. If there's one thing I like more than StarCraft 2, that is having lots of money in StarCraft 2. I'm not much of a materialistic person outside of StarCraft, but when it comes to StarCraft, more money is better. And not scouting just gives you so much money. I once did the calculations. Now, please do note they are my calculations, so they might be quite off. But if you compare a no scout to a pylon scout, we're talking somewhere between 200 and 225 minerals. Okay? That you're gaining. That is a very significant amount of money. Ooh. He's going to Proxy Stargate. This is a high tier build, okay? This is one of these build orders that's great in tournaments. If you play this build on ladder, well, I think there should be punishments for that. And honestly, I believe there are punishments for that. At least in certain states. Because if you Proxy Stargate on the ladder, you're ruining it for the solid Protosses that want to Proxy Stargate in the tournament. I always consider that as a Protoss community, you need to save these build orders. And when other people ask about them, you tell them they're crap. Okay? In that way, the other races forget about them. So as a Protoss community, whenever someone... I did this for a long time with Proxy Void Ray and PvT as well. People were like, hey, Kevin, what do you think of Proxy Void Ray and PvT? Yeah, that was an awful build. Terrible. Completely unplayable. And the way that you go about it is you say, if the Terran knows what they're doing, you can't beat it. You know? You don't actually specify what the counter is. You just say, if they know what they're doing, you beat it. This is the... kind of like the Emperor's Close, you know? No one wants to admit that they don't know what they're doing. Okay, like, right, yeah, if they know what they're doing, they know how to beat it. And this is first how you kind of give the Terrans an inferiority complex. And also... this is how you make sure that they don't actually want to figure out how to beat the Proxy Void Ray, because everyone already knows it, so Protosses won't play it. And then bam, next time you hit them in a tournament, 3 times in a row, Proxy Void Ray. Take their money. Or well, the $25 from the online cup. That's money as money. That's what they always say. And that's what this builds out. This is such a sick build. It almost always works. Like the win percentage of this build is very high because it gets used so rarely. Because it never works on ladder. And no one plays it on ladder. It's actually a pretty easy counter. Honestly, any Zerg that knows what they're doing will just straight up beat it. These two adepts are shading forward. Spore is on the way in the main base. There's a single queen that's coming out as well. And the Spore will spot this. But it won't be in time as the Spore will not finish up. Fleet Beacon Proxy. Oh, you absolute legend. Two drones get taken out. It's a decent haul here for that first Oracle. I love this. What is this going to be? A proxy carrier? Wait, what? Why would you get a proxy for... Oh, is he going to proxy batteries up here? Imagine that, sending out a worker, then proxying batteries up here. With Tempest. Would that be possible? You get like 8 gates and Tempest. This is a build I'm gonna try. And then when Zergs lose to it, I'll tell them that any Zerg that is worth anything knows how to beat it already. So don't worry about it. What's he gonna kiss? He's once again gonna go for a Tempest rush. Actually proxying Tempest in a PvZ. I've seen this in PvT before. I've played this in PvT before. I think it's a good build in PvT. I've never seen this before in PvZ. This is a wild build. And of course he needs to protect this. So he has his Adept over here. He has that Oracle patrolling as well. This is such a classic build, by the way. Not a build that is a classic. It's not like the Don Quixote, you know, that's a classic book. Now this is a strategy made by the player classic. This is a strategy that's, you know, you look at this, you're like, okay, that's a classic build order. A build order made by classic. Not because it's classic. Not because it's being used a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. I think most of you got that pretty fast, but I know there's a couple of slow ones in the back. Don't want to make them feel stupid. 17 Zerglings on the map right now for Solar. Solar is confused. He's very confused even. And he's going to... well, he's not actually going to fix that confusion because this... Oh! Now the Link spots the fleet beacon. This is probably only going to add to Solar's confusion as he immediately throws down a Spire. These two Tempest are moving into position. There's 6 queens total. That's not enough. That's actually not enough. These two Tempests can do a lot of damage in the main base. I think they are going to do a lot of damage in the main base. Blink Stalkers as a follow-up. So this is a... I'm not quite even sure how you would call this. This is a best of 3 mind game, you know? In between the games. So game 1, you open up with Tempest Rush and you follow up with Void Rays. And you go into Chargebolt Archon afterwards. But here, he's baiting out Corruptors to then Blink Stalker on. And this is such a brilliant little build order. A genius little play out of the Protoss player. Look how low the worker count is as well. And Solar probably, he's scouting it, but he ain't seeing it, you know? He's like, usually this would be very suspicious. It wouldn't surprise me if he takes it. Look, he's already up to 72 workers. The only weird thing is that he doesn't quite have a fort base yet. Look, he's getting more workers. He's gonna get a bunch of Corruptors. And once these Corruptors are out, this Blink push is going to... This is a cute build. Oh, wow. I've never seen this before either. This is what I'm talking about. He has so many builds like this, Classic. It's like infinite builds that make no sense, but work once or twice. If you copy this build, it will not work, because it works once. This was meant to work once, not twice. Don't forget that. Tempest are shooting from a distance at these queens, are capable, of course, of two-shotting these bad boys. With the... Or well, two-volleying, I should say. With the triple Tempest. And right now, Solar, well, he's seeing a lot. Stays on a low worker count. I'm not quite sure if this is going to be enough, though. I love this recall. It's not quite in time. 2 Tempests will stay alive, though. We'll be able to deny the overseer. Right now, Solar is going to be like, hey, wait a second, you don't even have gases here. This is quite bad. This is relatively crap. Corrupts are going to fly across the map. Perhaps try and fight a Tempest. Perhaps try and kill a base. Both are very honorable goals, of course. So the Corruptors are looking for their targets. And we'll see the edge of them. This base is being pooped on by the overseer. I'm not quite sure why that is. No more probe production for you. I don't think he was planning on having too many more probes. He's doing a pretty dedicated all in here with a lot of Stalkers. His Corruptors are taking a beating as well. Stalkers blink forward, a couple of sentries with the force fields. Will barely not catch that Ravager. Bad force field round, good force field round this time around. Actually keeping out a lot of these Ravagers. There's so many Stalkers here in this army as well. +1 is definitely helping out in this fight. 138 supply against 145 as Solar struggling to hold on against the Proxy Tempest build out of Classic. Classic's moving forward. And needs to, micro that prison. Perfectly done here. Needs to dodge these bios as well. Perfect blink forward as he gets all the Ravagers. Game 1 was a disaster, and game 2 he looked unstoppable. 1-1 is the score, so we'll be heading into the final game of this best of 3. And as we enter that third game in the best of 3, you see the map is Blackburn. And Blackburn has a bunch of tricks, okay? Blackburn is a bunch of tricks. If Blackburn was the host of a dinner party, it would be a murder mystery dinner party, which it's hard to believe that these things actually exist and are not just a thing in movies. I always thought they were just like a movie script, but there's actually such a thing as murder mystery parties. I've never been invited to one as I don't have any friends, but if you live close by the Netherlands and you're hosting a murder mystery party, I am expecting an invite. Or if you're at a tournament sometime, you're hosting a murder mystery party. I would like one of the fictional ones, though, not where the murder mystery party, like in most movies, ends up actually turning into a true murder mystery, and the word party is kind of removed from the entire premise. I would like the party to remain true. I remember when I was a kid, I always believed that there was this show on Dutch TV, which is like a classic murder show, and they would show the murder at the end. When they caught the killer, you know, they would show exactly how they did it, as he would tell it. And I always believed initially that they were just showing a new murder that didn't get solved, because I couldn't quite put one on one together. Needless to say, I don't think I'd be too great at murder mystery parties. But let's talk about this game as... how did I get there? Ah, right! This map has lots of tricks. And the main reason for that, let me explain. Good lord, that was a tangent. Is this area. So... the Zerg cannot consistently scout what's heading to their main base because of these rocks. Lynx can patrol this area, Lynx can patrol this area, but they can't see all the way at the bottom. So a single Void Ray can consistently deny all scouting that happens here on the bottom side. Rocks cannot be taken down in time, which means that single Void Ray into Prism builds that do some type of charge shot all in are relatively common on this map. And that is something that Solar needs to keep in mind. We've even seen fakes on +1 air. This is a bad wall, by the way, out of... Did he misplace the pylon? 1, 2... Is this 3? This 1, I think, no? It does look like a bad pylon, though. Oh, yeah, it's a bad pylon. Okay, so good. Yeah, he's gonna need... he can maybe build like a gateway here. He'll need another pylon here, though. Yeah, it's a very bad wall. Bit of a mistake there with the first pylon out of Classic. Rookie moves. Once again, that Stargate on the edge. That's the way he likes it. Did he get a second chrono? No, single chrono. Did he once again not scout, by the way? No, this time he did scout. Didn't go for the block, though, on the natural. And it perhaps was a late scout. I didn't quite catch that. Just talking about murder mystery parties. Happens to the best. Warp gates being researched pretty quickly as well. 37 seconds already. That's actually a fast... it must have been a late scout, otherwise you don't have that much gas. I think this was... Yeah, probably like post-Cybercore. Oh, good lord, this is a terrible wall. Oh, boy. It is that Baneling busts are so bad, but otherwise, I would recommend the Baneling bust here. It's gonna build another gateway here, probably. It is what it is. That's life. Alright, first Void Ray is being chrono boosted out. This Classic is opening up with a similar start as in the first game. Void Ray into Oracle. And really, no matter what you're going to do, most of the time you'll open up with Void Ray Oracle. Not necessarily in that order, but if you want to hide something, the Void Ray first is nice. Because in this case, you could throw down a Twilight Council right now without having it not be hidden. If you open Oracle into Void Ray, the Overlord would see the Twilight Council. So that's why the Void Ray first makes a lot of sense. Twilight Council gets thrown down. He keeps the probe here, which makes it look like a robotics facility. Yep, and... if he starts cutting workers and pulls out of gas, it could be the charge that I was talking about. However, if he doesn't pull out of gas, it could be glaives as well. Third and a fourth gateway. Fifth gateway. We have a cut now. Okay, yeah, it's the charge build. Okay, so I don't want to like patting myself on the back, but if there's someone else around, I would recommend patting me on the back right now, because this is going to be one of the tricks that is definitely possible here on Blackburn. And I specified the reason already. We see no Overlord here on the bottom side right now. Look at it, vision out of Solar. It is extremely crap. Just really, really bad. Ideally, Classic would have faked the fact that he's the +1 air weapons. He's also faking a probe transfer. Look at this. Well, it's not quite a fake probe transfer, but... No, it is. You see? He's undersaturated in the main base. Oh my god, no, he gets in. He gets in. You can't... Oh my god. This is awful. This is an actual worst case scenario. This is terrible. Terrible start here. Oh god. If Classic would host a murder mystery party, he'd accidentally leave the answer. Or he'd accidentally write it in the invitation. That was terrible. Losing 5 workers, getting completely scouted. I mean, this build is now... It's battered. It's beaten. Solar beat the build without doing anything. Practically Classic could leave. Or he needs to transition out. He's going to transition out. I mean, he gets up in the main base. I wouldn't mind a single sentry in here for like a 4-shoot on the ramp. Maybe you can kill like 6-7 drones. Like, this is how little Solar cares. Solar doesn't believe anymore. Solar has been building workers. Went back up to like 8 more. It's like, okay, cool. Cool, buddy. Watch your play. And the play, well, to be quite honest, just isn't here. There's no way that Classic can do anything from this point on. With this prism, with these... what did he invest into? Into 7 gateways. There's no forge out. There is a Templar Archives on the way, though. And there's a second Robo coming out. Infestation. Is it going to be Swarmos? We haven't seen Swarmos in a while. In a long, long while, by the way. We haven't seen Swarmos in years, it feels like. It's because these Void Rays are so good against Swarmos. I think it might actually be Swarmos, though. And I think it could work as well. Yeah. That is really cool. I love that. Creep spread is looking solid already. Queen count is a little bit on the low side with only 6. But, I mean, I've seen lower queen counts. I've seen 4. I've seen 5. I've seen 3. This can work. This can definitely work. A couple of roaches stay in the main base. Solar will deal with that prism with these roaches. 8 swarm hosts right now being popped out as well. 12 roaches, 6 queens, 9 swarm hosts. +1 is halfway done here. And is Classic aware of the fact that there's no fort base? I don't think he quite is. He's getting an extra battery. Storm is being researched. Double immortal production. We'll be going up to 5 immortals. And does have a single void ray as well, which of course is extremely helpful. Don't get me wrong, all of these things do help. Classic right now is being a little bit confused, I think. It's like, hey, wait a second. I do believe he should have a fort base. He's going to scout with his prism. It's like, hey, buddy, what you doing? And I think he did just see the swarm host there. Yeah, so he's now aware of the swarm host. Should start throwing down cannons the moment he can. And that moment would be right now. Battery in the natural. Perhaps a couple of cannons at the third base would be helpful. Void Rays need to move into position. Where are the Templar with Storm? We have 4 Templar. They're all kind of stuck at this third base as well. The large first wave goes into the natural. 1 Immortal will fall. 2nd Immortal will survive, I think, as these Locusts are about to run out. And the Zealots do a decent job tanking. Battery gets cancelled as this Zealot Prism does get turned back home. There's a couple of storms available, so this is still possible for Classic. It is just going to be really, really difficult to hold this. Can we have a Stasis Ward as well? Can be very useful. Good for Storm. Biles hitting these Immortals, though. Not the control we expect out of Classic. Another Storm hits a decent chunk of these Queens. A couple of Roaches also kind of being in there, catching some of that flak. Last 2 Storms not quite as useful, though. Classic in a bit of trouble. No extra cannons yet here. 5 Immortals, though, will be able to push the crap in of these roaches. The Locusts are the real issue, as more Swarmos have joined the party. 12 Swarmos currently here. Ravagers in the back also helping out. Might be able to take out this battery. Solar not quite focusing on it, instead going for units. I think that might have been a mistake. The battery, of course, very powerful when it comes to the healing. Super battery will have been used, though. And after this, there's really nothing left for Classic to hold here. Uses a feedback on the Overseers. Kind of a Hail Mary play, but there's not even Dark Templar. There's no Dark Shrine here. Another Bile almost hits. There's 5 Immortals. If they can get on top of 1 or 2 of these Swarmos, if you take out 4 or 5 Swarmos here, there might be some potential, but for now, Solar just has so much money. He's getting better upgrades. He still has the Swarmos alive as well. And here comes the next wave, and I have a very bad feeling about it. Battery overcharge still about 20 to 15 seconds away. 15 to 20. And with these Roaches, Ravagers, and the Locust, I just think it's going to be a little bit too much. Biles raining down from the sky. The Locust moving into the mineral line, and this is where it usually falls apart. The Prism is empty. Bardies to Templar. Another Immortal walks onto the low ground, but Solar knows he's won. Classic knows he's lost. GG gets typed. Solar will win the series 2-1 in his best of 3. Pretty fun series. Cool build orders out of Classic. It's very unfortunate that he got scouted this game. I mean, all jokes aside, that was just a bad move. Like, if he does the worker transfer well, he hides everything well, and then, yeah, dying like this is just a little bit silly. That's a sad way to go. Solar, nice follow-up, though. Didn't waste any time going straight for those swarm hosts. That's going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we'll see all of you for a next video here on the HarstemCasts channel. Bye-bye.